Well, you asked a question, what can be done by students and stakeholders in education to check the negative impact of partisan politics on education. I think a lot can be done. Okay, so I'm an educator, I am talking against it, I'm speaking against it. Partisan politics, our educational curriculum and our educational policies and programs must not be subjected to the football played by partisan politicians. So that it's not a ping pong game. So it goes here and comes there. No. Our educational policies and programs must be well thought through, and they must be owned by all across the political divide. And so we should be able to sit down as a people and decide that this is the educational policy we want to implement as a people, regardless of whoever takes to the throne as a leader, regardless of whichever political party is voted into power. This is the way we want to go. And that is how reasonable and well-meaning people and countries headed by people whose heads are properly screwed on, that is what they do. They are able to build consensus and ownership about policies, and so you have always policy continuity. And so we as educators must speak against the fact that politicians always would want to subject our educational policies and programs to partisan political football, so that when one regime comes, he said, well, this is our program that we are implementing in the educational sector. Another regime comes, they said, regardless of how laudable and important and good and beneficial your program is, it is not our position, it's not our program, and so we are going to abandon it. It doesn't make sense. It tells us that we are being led by some people who do not understand, they are ignorant about our quest to build solid systems, institutionalized systems that will bring about development. And so educators must speak about it. Students, you must form a constituency. When we say students must form a constituency, what I mean is that all of you must come together as one body. Okay? You must form a constituency, one body, not separated or not divided by useless partisan politics. You see, one reason why the students in Ghana have lost their role as the conscience of the nation. See, in the struggle to attain independence, and even in periods after the attainment of independence and all that, students were regarded or referred to as the conscience of the nation. Okay, they decided on who must govern the country, and they decided on who must be kicked out when those who exercise people's fiduciary trust disappointed. It was students who formed one constituency and demonstrated to kick out regimes. They demonstrated to bring in regimes. So they were referred to as conscience of the nation, and they were a constituency. In Achampon's time, in J.J. Rawlins's time, students decided at one point in time that they were boycotting lectures. And in Rawlins's time, for instance, cocoa had been locked up in the forest in the hinterlands. Students said, well, we would go to the forests and the hinterlands and carry the cocoa seedlings on our back, bring the seedlings, to places where they can be transported, places where vehicles can go, so that they will be transported from the villages to the city centers for export. But students having that sense of agency and acting as one constituency in supporting a regime. Okay, now, unfortunately, students in Ghana are heavily polarized and divided on partisan grounds. And they are refusing to see that in yesteryears, in time past, they did not allow partisanship to divide their ranks, and that partisanship is actually a deliberate effort on the part of the politician to divide you. That is how come when there is no election, the politicians are interested in it. That is how come when there is SRC elections, politicians are interested in determining who becomes the SRC president, because they want to be sure that whoever becomes the SRC or new president is in bed with them, so that you will not be able to mobilize people to speak for the interests of students. Unfortunately, many of you guys in the student fraternity have also bought into the idea of being co-opted into the fold of partisan, politicians, and so that's how come you have lost your glory as the conscience of the nation. And if you are telling me about the role that students can play in ensuring that our educational system is not given to the mercy, it's not left to the mercy of partisan politics, then I'm saying that you student yourself, you must have that sense of agency. If somebody has a sense of agency, it means the person has a sense to think about what his interest is and is able to articulate and champion his own interest. You have a sense of agency. So all of you must come together. Not MPP student or NDC student, but students coming together to form one constituency and to speak against the negative effect of partisan politics on education, with a view to keeping the executive arm of government and those political elites on their toes, and with a view to ensuring that they do not subject our educational policies and programs, or they don't subject education generally, to unnecessary partisan politics. So educators have a role to play, students have a role to play, those who run our educational system. I'm talking about headmasters, headmistresses, directors of education, vice chancellors, rectors, all must also come together and speak with one voice about some of the dangers of partisan politics that plagues us with educational policy discontinuities. They must begin to speak against some of these things as one body. Unfortunately, many headmasters and headmistresses and rectors and heads of these bigger institutions are also cowards. They are intimidated. They feel if you go and say it, if you proffer advice and suggestion, you may be transferred, but people sacrifice their blood for Ghana, for us to have independence. And so if you speak your mind, you say what is right, all in your bid to ensure the right thing is done, and you are transferred, so what? There should be men and there should be women in Ghana who are bold and who mean well. It appears that everybody who gets opportunity to serve is always thinking about how to protect his or her turf and her position. And so even when he sees things that are right, they prefer to speak to you behind the scenes and not to draw attention of the government to what is wrong. He who is cutting a path does not know his back is crooked. And so it is up to you, up to these authorities manning the various educational sectors to be able to also be bold and to speak up. I think if these things are done, we'll be able to deal with the effects of partisan politics, the negative effects of partisan politics on our educational system. Thank you very much.